slide. So this slide pretty much talks about what happens in internet in a minute. So just imagine in a minute. It's not about an hour or a day or a month or a year. It's in a minute. If you just go through the numbers, this is how the internet is being used, right? Just let's pick the most used, I would say, the online or the web aspect, the YouTube or Google or Facebook. If you see the number, there are 1.3 million video is viewed in a minute. Again, in a minute, right? And Google, there are close to 2 million. It's actually more than 2 million search that happens in Google. And in a minute, there are 277 logins that gets into Facebook with 6 million users viewing Facebook, whatever it's there in Facebook, right? Likewise, if you keep on going, it's a never-ending list. So if you see the right bottom, so if you want to just pick 1 minute of a video that is streamed in internet, for a person to view that, it takes 5 years. That's what it is currently. So 1 minute of a video at the current state, a person requires 5 years to view the entire video. That's how many videos are being viewed at this point in time. Then if you take the left corner, the bottom corner, currently the number of networking or the connected devices are as equivalent to the global population, which is over 6 billion, right? There are 6 billion connected devices existing in the whole world for connecting into the internet through various media. It could be mobile or internet or web interface or whatever it is. Then comes, just imagine by 2015, the projection is it can only be doubled, not too far, right? Just a year from now, we're expecting the whole networking devices to go beyond whatever we are currently using, 6 billion to 12 billion. That's where we are heading towards. So what does this mean? So I'm just going to the next slide. So this is all dealing with, so we have so many devices, so many users. So what happens? Every instrument, every action that happens in the internet or web emits data, and it acts upon data, and it is triggered by data. So data in general, there's 4 V's. If you wanted to just for you to remember easily, there are 4 V's in terms of data is organized or categorized. It is mostly about the volume of data. So I don't have to say, after looking at the first page, you will see that the volume of data, it's only growing, doubling, tripling, quadrupling, right? And the general estimate is at least by 2020, there will be a 300 times increase of data, which is eventually it will be 40 zettabytes. Don't ask me how many zeros are there. It is equal to 43 trillion gigabytes of data that will be going back and forth on the internet only through various forms of data. Then comes the variety, again, various forms of data. What are the sources of data? It could be through YouTube or tweets or Facebook or your health meter or whatever it is connected from a person or from an object, right? So that is the variety of data, the forms of data that data is generated from. Then comes, I'm talking about the left corner, the velocity, the analysis and the streaming of data. So the streaming of data is only increasing day by day. The number of sensors that is a car can generate can stream so much of data, and a flight can generate so much of data. In a minute of a flight journey, there are close to 445 gigabytes of data is getting generated. But just imagine so many data, so much of the data is getting generated. But there's a right corner which talks about the veracity, the uncertainty of the data, where imagine the usability of data is very less because the data either is in very raw form or maybe the data quality is not good, or maybe the data is corrupted. The very classical example is the recent flight accident that happened, the Malaysian Airlines, the infamous accident. It's very sad to see with so much of a technology in place and so much of a data in place, you are not able to locate exact or understand what went wrong. It is purely to deal with the veracity, the uncertainty of the data. If the data is properly captured and if the data quality is being properly managed, then we wouldn't have this kind of an issue. So that is where we are heading towards. With so much of a volume of data and variety of data with the velocity, the veracity is not informed. We will only have a completely mismanaged or unused or wrongly usage of data. So that's where we're heading towards. So next slide, I just want to talk about what a data could mean and what are the different transformation and data can take from place to place, from time to time. If you take the first one, the data, the most elementary form of any information is data, right? And from there we evolve, the data is evolved as into forming a meaningful value as called information. Then the same thing could be evolved or is evolved based on how you want to use it as a knowledge, which basically conveys something with the data and the value that you have. Then if the data has been properly used again and again in the right form, it becomes wisdom. It is basically used for increased effectiveness of the data so that the data can be used in the best form. Now comes, so let's take a typical example, a corporate world or any organization for that matter. So if there's a three-fold here. So if you go to the left corner, which talks about the business data definition, where a data source is getting emitted or generated to the end users, to the customers. It could be through a desktop or a remote desktop, wherever the source is of. So the data is generated from that or pushed from that to the customer interaction, which could be your cell phone, or it could be point of sale instrument, or it could be anything that a user or a customer normally uses, right? Then the same data can be fed back into an organization which captures the data for analyzing for various aspects. It could be for reporting, for the analytics, or for visualizing the data, or for any of the analytics purpose, for the data can be reused for the futuristic aspect of it, right? So after this is done, the same data now can be used for making it more effective to push it back or push it again back into the business data. The same data could also be used into the customer interfacing devices, right? Where you can feel you are getting a good use of the data in an increasing manner. So this is normally the data can be used for, or data can be pushed from an enterprise organization into the customers, and how data can be reused based on the pattern that they generate out of the customer interaction. This is general cyclic way of data is getting used at this point in time. So I'm just moving on to the next slide. That is the previous slide we talked about how the data can be circularly used. Now, how data